Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Moatassem Moatez. Modism Moatez started his career with 10 years of corporate working with Unilever, Nestle, BAT, EMAAR within the Middle East. In 2011, he took a leap of faith to entrepreneurship by founding and managing 7 ventures, as well as partnering in an incubator in Dubai, InnovestMe, working with several entrepreneurs across consumer products and services. While working with amazing entrepreneurs, he felt a gap in their public speaking and storytelling to investors, potential co-founders, customers, and press, which made him put time into developing a program to help entrepreneurs and business owners to understand the art and science of delivering a strong public talk and storytelling. Then he started taking it outside through his platform Storytellers, as well as a TEDx Toronto Insider. Welcome to the podcast, Modism.
Hey, good morning, Kimberley. How are you doing?
I am great.
Thank you very
So
much
it
for
sounds like
having me.
you've kind of had a journey here.
Yeah. Sometimes a person doesn't really reflect on the journey that they're in, except when they hear it. So literally, when you were saying it, I'm listening to it. I was like, really? All this? And when you think of it, we all have amazing stories. We have amazing things to say and amazing things to reflect on. But sometimes the journey just sucks time from you, and you forget all the phases that you go through.
Exactly. So why don't you share yours with us so we can get to know you?
Sure. It's a pleasure. So first of all, well done in saying my name correctly.
Thank
It's
you.
Moatassem, so you did it quite well. Few that put it correctly. So my journey started literally with a corporate. What I did was I went exactly as most of the people, the safe side, finish university, go into corporate, and I was the kind of person that, like most of the people, just doing whatever is in the book, whatever the route and the journey that the society and the culture just set for us, just do it. You want to be a good student, to finish, to find a job, to get married, to get kids, just have the full normal route. And I literally did the same thing. I worked in corporate. I worked with. I was blessed enough to work with very decent companies such as Nestle and Unilever across the Middle East. But then in 2011, when you have a leap of faith, I took a leap of faith and with a couple of my friends, and we started a company. It was a loyalty and reward program, and we worked really hard on it, but it was a side gig, meaning that I didn't leave my corporate job at that time. But Kimberly, when things just work in a certain way, and sometimes you say opportunities open, as we were working on our venture, there was one customer that we sat with him for the first meeting, and we were selling him the idea of our program. He liked it very much, to a level that he said, I want to buy you out. And that's where faith just plays some sort of a miracle and magic that is outside of your hand. And literally, we had him as an exclusive customer for 1 year, and because it was exclusive, the pay was a bit high. So this is where I resigned, and I said, I have already 1 year paid. Let me see how the outside world will be for me. And I jumped in, started from there, the entrepreneurship world. And as I go, I started putting in more time with entrepreneurs and other businesses. And while I'm doing this, another sort of phase came in, which is I sat with amazing entrepreneurs. Literally, when you hear their stories one-to-one, you're so impressed. They impact you in a way that you look at it and you're like, man, you just got me so pumped up that I want to go outside and just run. But then you take the same person, same exact person, put him in a room of strangers, of 3 or 4 people, and tell him, can you pitch your exact same business to these investors? You start seeing just literally, you start seeing him losing, or her losing, the flow, the mojo of the talk that they had. And this is where exactly I started feeling that there is some sort of a need where you help entrepreneurs that have amazing know-how and ideas to just deliver their talk, to deliver their story. the exact same way you told it to me one-to-one, if you just simply replicate it to strangers, you're going to gain a lot. You're going to get a lot of traction from people, be it investors, co-founders, press. Just work on it from there. And this is where the concept of storytellers came, which is we help people, mainly business and entrepreneurs, to craft and master their art of public speaking and storytelling.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah. And people don't know if you don't tell.
Exactly, exactly. Sometimes when people ask me, they tell me, so what is storytelling? I say it's just simply letting people know what you know, but in an engaging way. Because you know a lot, you have lots of things inside you, but sometimes it's just a matter of how can I bring it out in a way that just engage and connect with people. And that's the art of public speaking.
Mhm. Yeah. So, do you have any of your own stories of a person that or a company that you worked with and they were kind of struggling and then you helped them with this and they changed their sales, their whole project, how their company is going?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a couple of things. One of them is that when you start talking about storytelling, sometimes you don't know how much your story is impactful for people. We sometimes have this imposter syndrome. We think that, you know what, we don't really have what it takes, and my story may not be that strong.
Mhm.
One of the key things that I always try to hit on is that you're always a step ahead than someone. Someone out there in this whole world with 7 billion people, you have something that can really add to someone. And it could be things as small as you've been on a weight loss journey and you lost weight, maybe not massive, but you actually took this journey on. Your story could be a reason for someone not to give up. Someone today might be on a edge of, I'm done, I'm fed up with all these diets and waking up early or going to the thing, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. And just seeing your story or listening to it can make them keep on going. So sometimes I say it doesn't have to be an impactful story where you start saying that, wow, I took a startup from, I don't know, X number of value to a multiplier of what. It could be as simple as your own personal story of why did you took this one single step into a journey. I'm telling you this because I'll tell you a small story. It was a lady that had a passion into culinary and cooking, actually baking. So she always had this challenge inside where, am I good enough to really do it as a business? I mean, I do it for my friends, I do it, a bit of videos here and there, but am I really good enough? The one thing that I told her is I worked with her on developing a story, which is exactly what she had done all her life. I didn't really made up anything out of it. It's just a matter of how do you package it in the right way, and how do you use the gifts that God gave you, which is your voice, your hand, your facial expressions, in just simply delivering it to others.
Mhm.
And then she started taking it outside of her own inner circle. She started speaking to a bit of a bigger circle.
Mhm.
You cannot imagine the traction she got. And the surprising thing is the traction she got and the support she got from the outer circle was even more from the inner circle. Because these people that didn't know her background, they didn't know anything about her, all what they knew is, I saw her as a master chef in baking. So
Yeah.
they saw her at a certain level. They didn't see the gradual sort of exponential thing. And these are the things that I always say is that public speaking and storytelling, it's there for everyone. And as small as your story could be, it could be so impactful to the outside world. It just simply speak up to others, and you never know who it will affect today.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so true. And I speak a lot about, and that's why I have this podcast. I want people to find their passion and their purpose and then do it. Because when you have a gift or something that God gave you to share and you're not sharing it, we all suffer. We don't get to have it. We don't get to share it with you, and you don't get to share it with us. So It's just so important. And if you cannot communicate it to people, they won't be able to accept it or take it, or um, they can't enjoy it. So that is so important to be able to communicate what it is that we have to share.
100%, 100%. I mean, it's quite interesting when you're saying finding your passion. And by the way, I love all the episodes that you have been doing. And I did once a talk on TEDx, and the idea behind it was, do we need to find our passion or do we build our passion? Okay, and it was quite a debate for me actually to think of. And one of the things that I speak about is that if you're only trying to find it, most of the time, because we are humans, we always seek development. Whatever you will find, you'll always, but is it only this? Might be there's something else. Might be there is something else. You will never going to be work on something because you'll always be like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So I try to highlight that your passion is going to be a buildup of your interests. I mean, you might start with something that give you a bit of traction. And I even started putting it in a sort of a journey, because it starts with an interest where, let's take the baking, for example, of the lady that I told you about. She started with an interest of baking for herself. She loved it and she enjoyed it. Then from there, you start finding traction from people that is around you that tell you, by the way, we want to learn more about it from you. And it could be no monetary at all. It's just a matter of you're sharing a certain interest that you have. And this moves into being a mastery, is that you have other people that you don't know that tell you, by the way, we heard about whatever you're doing. Do you mind we get a bit along on it? All the way until you start having a value. And this is where you will get inside what I call not just the passion, you'll get the obsession out of it. You will feel that, you know what, this is my adrenaline rush. Is we strive on the likes and the comments of social media. Why? Because as humans, we strive for the acknowledgement and the thank you. When people tell you thank you for something that you did, you really feel empowered. And when you move your interests into a certain level that you feel you're getting acknowledgement and thanks from people, it just goes into another level of, I'll put more effort, I'll put more time, I'll just jump into it more. So just when you said the passion thing, it struck the chord with me.
And that's a great distinction, because we could just keep looking and looking and never find it.
Correct.
When you're looking for something, that means it's lost.
100%. And it's not lost. 100%. Spot on.
So let's just talk about the actual talk itself. So how important is the nonverbal communication? So many people are concentrating on the words. Oh, what am I going to say? You know, should I memorize it? Should I do? But they forget about the fact that so much is just your presentation and your posture when you're in front of people. So talk about that.
Fair. So before I jump on this, just one statistic to tell you about is that the fear of public speaking is almost 75% of people. Literally, it is actually put in a way that is called glossophobia. It's a phobia that people have, a fear of speaking to strangers. So it's something that is well known across everyone. You will never speak to any speaker, how professional, how expert he or she is, except they'll always have some sort of stage fear before going up. It's a matter of how long the stage fear is. Some people will have it for weeks, days, or just a couple of minutes to get your body ready for going on stage. So that's important to set in place, because this fear is what makes everyone on stage, as you said, start thinking of everything wrong possible to go. They only memorize, they try to hold papers in hand, because all what you want to do is you want to just get it through, make sure that you don't do a mistake. So you will do any defense mode possible to get into this part, even if it just means cards in your hand and you're not even looking to the people and you're just reading word by word that is there. So that's important to set in place to understand the mechanics and the flow of the talk in their mind. Now, taking it from there, when you go on a public speaking, the key important thing that unfortunately people sometimes drop in their talk or preparation. You're out there and speaking not just because of yourself. You're out there because there is someone in the other side who wants to learn or gain something out of you.
Mhm.
So the challenge that is there, and it's again across everyone, is how can I switch from thinking about myself and thinking that I don't do a mistake and thinking that I look good in front of people into how can I literally add value to the person at the other side of the table?
Mhm.
Why is this person sitting on the other side of the table be willing to listen to whatever I'm going to be saying, be willing to take an action out of it? So having this switch
Mhm.
will make a person get one at ease, but the second will make them prepare quite well. Because the preparation of a talk is like anything. It's as if you're going into a race. You will never jump into a race without preparing, without practicing. That's exactly the same thing. People sometimes say, you know what, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to just go there and whatever happens, happens. But yeah, you think of it if you're going to the Olympics. You need to practice. You need to really find the right mentor, find the right space to practice, understand what are the tools that are going to be there. It takes time because if you really want to push through and get a decent talk, put the practice in it. So speaking about this part, the key thing in any public speaking, if I would say, forget about everything in the world and just remember one thing, just one thing for public speaking is the aim is to touch the emotions of the person in front of you. People do not take steps, people do not take action except when they're emotionally moved.
Mhm.
And this is why a good public speaker is the one that is able to use his whole tools to bring a certain emotion to the other side. And this emotion could be, I'll give you an example. You see it in elections, especially in politics. The emotions that they play around is two things, either fear, and we try to bring fear because fear is a very strong emotion that will make people move, either move to vote, either move to elect,
Mhm.
or the second emotion is the emotion of a positive future. It's not in your hand now, not you don't have it now, but one day you're going to have it, and let's speak about this future. So
Mhm.
the emotions are so important. But you cannot send an emotion if you yourself don't have this emotion or if you yourself is not showcasing it. And
Mhm.
that's the part where you see people losing it, is that they'll have a sponge face, they'll speak with one monotonous tone, they'll have one sort of theme in their talk, which then doesn't send a certain emotion to the other side. So you'll eventually be a news broadcaster. You're just sending news. You're not
Mhm.
sending emotion to move the person in front of you.
Yeah, that is so important just to emphasize or think about the other person you're trying to communicate with. Because I'm actually going to be on my first virtual as a speaker tomorrow, and I'm
Beautiful.
thinking, about the technology. I'm thinking I'm going to send people through a visualization, so it's very. I'm so used to being in the room and watching the expressions of people and watching their body language and seeing if they're actually getting it. And I'm like, so I'm thinking about all these things when I'm doing this talk and taking them through this visualization. Are they going to be getting it? Because I'm not going to be able to see them. I'm not
Correct.
going to see if their body's relaxing, if they're breathing, if they're so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, wanting to touch the person, but wondering about the technology and everything. There's so many things you think about before you go on any type of stage, including virtual. Maybe
Correct.
more virtual.
The only tip I will tell you about the virtual is have more, if you can, breaks. So cut it down into small talks, because when you cut it into small talks and you ask the audience or whoever is on the talk to just recap a bit, you will understand, are they still there? Do you still feel the beat with them or not? Because sometimes when we just go all the way and we're not seeing the faces, we're not hearing their voices, we don't know how their energy level is, we lose it from there. But I think you're gonna do great.
Well, thank you so much. So, what other things do we need to do to prepare to actually stand on the stage?
Okay, so lots of people will talk about the content itself, but I'm not going to speak about the content because I'm a believer that each one has a great know-how of whatever master they're doing, be it their business, be it their personal life. You know it quite well. The part that I might touch base on is the non-verbal communication. We have lots of tools. I mean, it's like exactly, you have a phone, your iPhone. It has tons of applications and options, and you literally use one or two things only out of it. It's like you have a massive device, you have amazing things in it. At least know about them, and then you can say, what I'll use them, not yes, this is something else, but just to know about them. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a bit of a snapshot on the apps that you have in your own body that can help you to deliver a talk from there. So one of them is the hand gestures. And you see people a lot, depending also on the personality of the person. Some people would speak a lot with their hands. You see certain cultures that are into more of hand gestures, mostly the Mediterranean type of cities. You will see Spanish, Italians, Greek, any people that are more or used to have more trading because they're used to speaking with people, so they'll have their hand gestures going around. But I always say there are two types of hand gestures. There is a type which is functional, and then there's the stressed. The functional is your hand is moving with whatever you're saying. So it's actually adding to your own talk. The stressed is you're just having it to release a certain inside pressure that nobody else supposedly should know about, but because it's inside you and you have no idea or no clue what to do about it, I have an energy inside, I'm so stressed, where should I go? Then your hand starts playing and you start seeing it in every single thing. All over the place, you start seeing tapping, you start seeing crossing, you start seeing pocket in the hands in the pocket. So these are stressed hand gestures. The functional ones are the ones that will build on a talk. For example, if I want to emphasize certain points, so I want to say I'm going to be speaking today about 3 points. Point number 1, your eye will be much more faster than listening to whatever I'm saying. So you will be emphasized more here. And even if I come and I say, today I'm going to be speaking about 2 points, most probably you will be like, it will break you because that's so powerful. The hand is more powerful. Visually, we pick up things much more stronger because these 2 points that I'm going to speak about today are key.
Just for people who are listening on the podcast, he's saying 2 and he's holding up 4 fingers.
Correct. Thank you
So
for
I just
highlighting.
want people to understand why I'm laughing. So he keeps saying 2, but he's holding up 4 fingers. So that's a mismatch.
Correct. I mean, it's a very challenging thing because we're speaking about public speaking in front of people, but we're doing it audio only today. But correct. Thank you for highlighting this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the functional part. And then also you'll find your hand gestures can also elevate when you're speaking, meaning that you can use it to just shoot if there's something very impactful you want to speak about it. I mean, a fist, when you speak and you do the fist, it just gives this impact that is something powerful that you want to talk about. Mm-hmm. So make sure that it's functional, it adds on to the verbal that you're trying to highlight and the emotion that you're trying to give. Don't shy away in using your hands. One last thing about the hand gesture is we don't also want to be all over the place with our hand. You know, it's not a soprano, it's not an opera that we're trying to do. So I always say, make sure your hands is somehow close to your shoulders. I mean, think of it as a frame. So you're more of a frame in your hands, your shoulders are all aligned, and you're speaking within a certain space of your body and stage that you're speaking on. Mm-hmm. So that's from a hand gesture perspective. The second thing that is also so powerful is our voice. And there are a couple of things that you can think of when you're thinking of your voice. Number one is the pace of your voice itself. Meaning that if you go so fast in something that you're showing that it's a bit more of exciting. But if you go deep and slow it shows emphasis on a certain topic. So the way you use your voice, I mean, one of the best voiceovers. If I say voiceover, deep and strong and emphasis, who comes to your mind?
I don't know. Someone
Morgan.
with a really deep voice.
Most of the time, people will think of Morgan Freeman
uh,
as a very deep voice. I mean, when we think of the narration when he ever does to a movie,
oh,
he
yes.
speaks with a very deep voice. In a certain day, we see so and so and so. Then he came. It's deep. And that's the idea of using your voice. Use the fast paced when it's something that is exciting or you want to get people, up there. Use the deep voice when you want to emphasize certain words, certain impact. And at the same time, with the voice, don't get shy from having a pause or a silence. Sometimes people worry when they just have 2 seconds of silence as a speaker. They feel like, I just need to speak all the time. You don't need to. It's fine if you take a second or 2 or even 10 seconds pause. The pause on its own will make your audience recalibrate whatever you're saying, will make your audience think of what you said, but most important, will make them get ready for the next word that you will say. Because bear in mind, when you're speaking, you are the authority on stage. All eyes are on you. So if you do anything, it will move the stage or it will move the audience. So when there is a talk that is happening and then out of no reason, okay, someone is talking and he's saying something and it's up, and out of no reason people will start looking at you and like, okay, what's happening? What's next? So pauses are so impactful in a talk if you know exactly when to place it and you know exactly what's coming behind it, the emphasis that you want. So hand gestures, focal. And the third one, and it's important also, is this amazing facial expressions that we have. The facial expressions that we have is so powerful. And I always say it's the multilingual language. Everyone knows what's a smile. It doesn't matter what's your language, what's your background. Everyone knows what a smile is. Everyone knows what's an anger. Everyone knows what's an excitement. Everyone knows what's a surprise. So when you're in a talk, and now with all the different cultures that we have, you will see lots of accents, language accent. And sometimes we expect that people understand what we're saying, but not everyone understands every single word that you will say. So this is why it's important to understand that your audience are there to get not every single word, but to get the meaning, to get the emotion out of it. So by using your facial expression, you give them clue on what you're saying. Even if they don't understand, they're still gonna get a clue. They're gonna clue that, he's smiling, so this is something fun. Maybe I need to focus more on every single word. Oh, he's a bit angry. Oh, he has a surprise face. And then one of the things that is key is the smile that you give. There is a smile, and it's called the zucchini smile, okay, which is the smile from an eye, not the smile from the mouth. Meaning, we'll try it out together. I know it's audio, so hopefully I'll be able to help it. I want you to smile only from your mouth, like this. If you look at yourself when you're smiling only from the mouth, it's a smile that you give when you're like, okay, I'm there, but I'm not really excited. Now, what you need to do is pull your cheeks out and smile from the eye. I want you to squeeze your eye when you're smiling, like up there. Smile it with the cheeks, with the eyes. The eyes give so much impact in a smile. It makes it more genuine. It makes the person on the other side feel that you're much more welcoming them to you. And this is why I always say, don't give a half-hearted smile. Give a really strong smile when you're talking. Make people feel it when you do it. Smile from the eyes, not from the mouth only. And then the last part that I'll speak about also from there is the body language itself. So depending on how your talk is done. So either it's on a stage or it's behind a podium, or if it's just in a boardroom and you're speaking in front of three, depending on the space you have, it will help you to know how to move. But I always say, do move. Even if it's a small, teeny weeny step, it helps, because you want to also break the visual static that the audience have. You're not a robot down there. You are a human being with emotions, a human being with blood cells and moving organs. So just take a walk here or there. But the most important thing in your walk is never give your back to the audience. Make sure that you're still maintaining as much as you can eye contact. So walk in a semicircle rather than it's just in a straight line and then you give up your back to a certain audience. Make sure that your walk also is paced slowly. You're not in a sprint. You're not doing it to burn calories. Yeah, it's not. It's not a treadmill, so it's fine. Pull it down a little bit as much as you can. And
I'm laughing because I've seen that, they're going like this.
yeah, and you're counting their steps. You're like, is this a Fitbit? Are you counting steps? Chill. It's okay. Chill down. So, and again, one of the things, just highlighting on your point, is most probably they are stressed, because when you walk fast on a stage, you're literally stressed. You're like, I just don't know what to do. So you're taking out the energy. Stress is all about contained energy. You get it out. So either you get it out in a hand, in a walk, in a going around, or in a very fast tone. You always get this energy of stress out in a way. So if you understand there's a stress and you hold the stress or you channel it into more productive body language, it just simply adds from there. One more thing on the body language is it shows confidence the way you stand. I mean, if you arc your shoulders in and your back and your head is dropped down, it just gives a certain vibes to the audience that this person is not into the mojo. He's not really that confident. So 3 things in your body language: bring your shoulder back. Make your neck seen, meaning that make your head up, not in an arrogant way. It's not like we're putting it up, but just make sure that your head is up, shoulders back, straight back, chest up. And the more you have your chest up, your air wings is full enough to have an impactful voice coming out, and just entertain and share what you have with the world. And that's all what you're doing, is you want to share what you know. And bear in mind, people are coming to listen to you. Not everyone, just to be fair, not everyone there will be there to listen to you. Some of them are going to be bored, and you cannot do a lot of things about it, because whoever is bored, and you will always have a bored audience, always. Not one single talk I ever had that you're not going to have someone that is bored. And maybe he's not bored of you. Maybe he's bored because he has something else in mind. Maybe he's bored because he had a bad day. Maybe there is something. We're humans. It's fine. But don't focus about this person. Focus on the other 99 that might be there, that are so excited. They're putting their time. They're putting their effort. They really want to gain something out of it. These are the people that you want to share with them and give them the energy and the excitement that you have.
Exactly. And as you were saying that, I remember a time when I was speaking, this person just seemed like they weren't listening. I mean, they were kind of looking down, looking at their phone, kind of like, sloughing, just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not attentive at all, just the opposite. Almost looked like they just didn't even want to be there. And then when it came time for questions, this person perked up and they started
firing,
asking questions. I'm like, oh, I guess they were listening. But I know a lot of people are a little worried about when it's time for the Q&A, for the questions and answers, about, what if people ask me things, or what if they're actually trying to attack me with their questions? How do we handle those things?
Okay, it's a very good question. I think it's first, the person that you saw in this talk that goes down, watch his phone, look at exactly the same person I saw him across all the world. Maybe he's the same person traveling across, but that's exactly the same habits that you see across.
Right in front too.
100%. So on questions and answers, number one is whatever question is given to you, in your mindset, I want to make sure that you're clear that this is not personal. These people are not asking you the question to make you feel bad or to make you feel or to worsen your image in front of the others. Because if you have this, and sometimes, unfortunately, with difficult questions, the speakers sometimes think, you know what, this person is trying to bring me down. He's asking a difficult question. It just eats from your mind. In rather than thinking of the question, it becomes a personal, emotional feeling. And we want to set this aside, because the moment you have an emotional anger or down feeling on a talk, it will just simply disrupt your clarity of answering the question. So number one, there is no question that is there personal. Take it as every question is genuinely a real question that a person needs an answer for. How to answer tough questions. There is nothing wrong that if there is a question you don't know an answer for, to say, I need to check this and I'll get back to you, or I'll put it on my social media if it's a talk outside, or if it's a small board meeting and it's only 3-4 people that you're speaking to, you can say, I'll get back to you by email on this. There's nothing wrong to be as clear as possible that if there's a tough one, you don't know about it, note it down and get back to them. And I always say, note it down, because when you note down, you show how serious you are on really getting back. It's not just simply saying it out there and going away. The second part is there is a way also in handling a question. Sometimes you can get a question, but because you're so nervous, you don't really listen. So you assume you listened and you assume you understood the question, but you didn't. So I would always say is that if you got distracted, and it happens, because when someone raises their hand and a mic goes to them, or if you're in a room and someone is looking at you and all eyes are at you, you got distracted. Literally, there's a block. Sometimes you don't hear it. The first thing you might do is, it's fine to ask, can you just elaborate more on your question? You give more time for yourself to reshuffle your thinking, to get things into place, and also to better understand the question. So it's fine that you can ask for a follow-up question on the question to get more clarity on what's there. One part also that's important on the Q&A is that you would see sometimes people that will put some sort of a difficult question just for a matter of them to speak out. Meaning that they will be there, like the person that you spoke about. Mm-hmm. He was not there the whole thing, but then, you know what, I want to just get the camera on me. Let me speak about something. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the topic you're speaking about. They might ask something totally outside the topic. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong that you say, you know what, I like the question. It's a really spot on question, but just for the sake of the time for the people here, let's take it offline outside of this talk, because I think it's more relevant and I have more details I can share with you offline from there. Thank you for asking this question. And just simply park it.
So wise. As you're saying that, I'm taking a deep breath. Because yeah, those people can just take over your talk. And
100%. And you don't want to do this because at the end of the day, you prepared a lot for it. You're really putting all your heart, mind, and soul in it. So you don't want, and at the same time, you don't want to turn it into a personal between you and one person. It's not between me and you at all. It's fine, whatever you're saying. I'll put it in my mind as it's a real question. We'll take it offline, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that is great advice. Yeah, I think that piece makes a lot of people nervous. It's the Correct. Unknown piece. You know, you prepared, but then that you don't know what anyone's going to ask.
100%. That's true.
So, so tell me, if people were going to work with you, what kind of people come to you? Is it corporations? Is it entrepreneurs who are just doing like the person that was doing the baking?
So what I do right now is there are two things that I'm doing. One part is I would have SMEs coming to me, and I would help them with their delivery of their pitch, to be it's for co-founders or for investors or even for big customers that they're talking to. So the idea for it is, again, I don't work on the content with them because I literally know that every company knows their thing quite well. What we do is we take it in and then we start structuring it in a way. And then we take the key people, which most probably could be either the founder or a certain directory level that speak. And then we start working together on the delivery itself. When should you pause? When should you emphasize a certain tone? When should you walk? When should you have an eye contact? So we start putting a choreography around it. It's more like you're going on stage, and we want to make sure that the whole team and the whole use of the body language is done in the right way. So this is one part. The other part is I do a master class that is purely around reducing the fear of public speaking and building confidence in your storytelling. And this masterclass is working more deep onto things like that I touch based on in our talk, more the nonverbal side. So it's more of getting people to understand the capabilities that they have and sharing it with others that all share the same concept, is that we want to talk, we want to speak up. We have something to share with the world, but we're just hindered from taking this step. So we work on it together and we start bringing it to life from there.
Wow. And then if people wanted to get a hold of you, what is your website, or how should they contact you?
So the two easiest would be either my LinkedIn profile or would be moatassem.com. I think the name is not easy, so maybe I'll send it to you and you can just tag it there. So either connect through LinkedIn. I also share a lot of content on LinkedIn around public speaking and storytelling that is just for free for people that are interested in this topic. And I'll be more than happy to connect with whoever I would be able to add value for their business or even personal life.
Beautiful. So just to go personal now, what gives you the most happiness and joy in your life?
In my current time is different than in the previous time. Previously, when I was going as the book and as the culture, my matrix of success was more tangible, was more monetary. Now, what gives me a bit more fulfillment is literally a message from someone that tells me, by the way, I had this talk or I had this pitch and I remembered this one point that you said, and it really helped me to close a deal. I mean, this on its own, you just feel that you impacted someone in their life. You feel that someone had slept in his night feeling good because you had shared one thing that for you could be just normal, but it really helped in a way. And this is why I try as much as possible to add value, and I try as much as possible to get this sort of energy from people.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for sharing all this about public speaking. And I'll be even thinking about that tomorrow when I'm doing that virtual for the first time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kimberley, for having me. And I really enjoyed the talk together. And I wish you all the luck and success in your podcast one, but also on your talk tomorrow, hopefully.
All right. Thank you. So I have one last question before we finish.
Sure.
What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
The best thing is, okay, live it now, not in tomorrow, not in yesterday. So make sure that your brain doesn't play this monkey jumping thing and take you from the moment you're in right now and go into a past memory that you say, you know what, my life in the past was amazing and beautiful, but because of this, I screwed everything up because I did whatever move. Or what's going to happen tomorrow? I might lose a job, or I might lose a relationship, or I might lose. You didn't lose it yet. You're just putting it in your mind and you're living an emotion of the future now. So the way to live an incredible life, hopefully, is live as much as possible in your present, as much as you can. It's difficult, but try to push it through.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.